Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome, warm welcome from UK to all of you around the world. We will be, he will have introduction, he will have a amazing session with the legends of the legends, with one and only Professor Chris Imafidon. He needs very little introduction because as a multiple world record holder, he had mentored youth and disadvantaged from around the world, from Africa and the Commonwealth, and extraordinary to attain and achieve extraordinary achievements in all walks of life, starting from education and further in life with their own businesses and ventures. Most of his proteges accomplished, as I said, amazing success and exceeded also some record successes with none other than official Guinness World Records, for example. Professor Imafidon has been quoted in over 1 million media imprints all over the world. His insights on the monarchy has been featured in over 1 million times and can be found in publications and media outlets such Reuters, Associated Press, Washington Post, Guardian, BBC, New York Times, Hello Magazine, Polish News, and all other news, the News International Today, USA Today, and London Evening Standard, etc., etc., etc. One can check on social media feeds for that. His mentees is the youngest person ever to receive recognition from Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II and of the United Kingdom and Commonwealth. Most excellent and the most excellent circle of the British Empire. Ladies and gentlemen, I will leave you with Professor Chris Imafidon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stefan, for such a generous introduction. Stefan is somebody that is very, very keen and has documented results when it comes to entrepreneurship. He's also a techpreneur. So one is very privileged to have been introduced by Stefan in today's real workshop. Today is not just a lecture. It's to assess how AI will transform and is transforming the landscape of businesses. Whether you be a startup, a scale-up, or a multinational body of business, every single person right now, every task, every activity that human beings have ever done since the dawn of time is being revolutionized by AI. So that's essentially why we're here today. This workshop, it's an activity-loaded day for us. Thank you for those of you that are joining us from Africa. Thank you for those that are joining from Canada. The Americans, it looks as if you woke up very early to join us. Thank you for those that are joining us from the Asian continent. If you're listening to this right now, those of you in this room, I know what you are in for. Please get out your pen, get out your paper. We're working on the manual. But for those of you that are joining us by Facebook, please go to the comment section and type in the objectives. What do you think you can achieve with AI? Because that's first thing today. What aspect of your business do you think AI is going to impact? I need you to write that down. If you are joining us on Zoom, please go to the chat box and type in what impact you think AI is going to make to your business, every aspect of your business. If you're on Instagram, IG, please go to the comment section and type in exactly the same thing. If you're on Twitter Spaces, pull up the comment box now and type it in, because I need all of us to have clear goals. Thank you for joining us on Clubhouse as well. We want to encourage you to also go to the chat room of the Clubhouse and type in essentially what you think artificial intelligence can do to your business. I need you to write this down, and then I want you to write your goals for signing up for this workshop. We are pleased to have been joined by CEOs of companies. We are coming to half mark of the year 2023. And so we want to reflect on what was projected to be achieved, and now how AI can assist in areas of deficiencies. How AI can change the performance level of every single member of your team. How AI can boost productivity by at least 100 times. You got that right. 100%, you heard that. It's because if by the time we finish today, if you're unable to demonstrate to me that AI, as it stands now, not the new one, ChatGPT, because by the end of today, we're going to get a tool that is superior to ChatGPT. Every single person in this room will walk out with a tool. I know the media has never, ever reflected this, but we have used it, and the big boys, the big players have been using it. So why must you lose out of using this tool that is superior to ChatGPT in content generation, superior to ChatGPT in customer service, superior to ChatGPT in customer recruitment and retention? Ladies and gentlemen, the gloves are taking the gloves off, and we're going to box down ignorance today until you achieve your multi-million level that you rightly deserve, because others that have gone ahead to duplicate that are not any smarter than you. They just use smarter tools. And that's the reason why we want to look at it today. Those of you that struggle with reading, we will establish what your reading speed is, and more importantly, quadruple your current reading speed. So we're not just measuring it as a baseline, we're measuring it so that we can deploy the tools that are required, the techniques needed to realize it, the technology, and come up with a new thinking as well as a tutelage to wipe out every single thing you ever thought of yourself and come out on the other side as a peak performer in business specifically. So thank you, Stefan. I know you have a busy day ahead of you. We will thank you for joining now, and I know you want to pick up your pen as well and benefit from this life-defining, because we're privileged to be living in times like this. I mean, our grandparents never imagined that they will have tools like this. It's therefore an obligation on us. It's a duty to do our parents and our grandparents proud by making sure we maximize these tools for economic empowerment, not just for entertainment. I mean, when people have viral videos of a cat and a dog scratching the wall, when really we can come up with viral videos of how to help those that are depressed, help those that are diseased, help those that are in debt. How AI can go straight to your credit score today and lift your credit score to 100, 800. People are already using this. Yes, it's true. AI can attend your meetings for you and report back. You delegate tasks to these new tools, and they become your executive assistants. That means what your executive assistant could not do for you, we have used it, we have tested it to breaking point, and we have the evidence. And that's what we'll be sharing, particularly when we come back from coffee break, after coffee and after lunch. So,
thank you.
Do you have
thank you.
any remarks, Stefan? Thank you. You
Thank
have some
you so
remarks?
much. Thank you so much, Chris. Regretfully, as I informed you earlier, I have a meeting in about 25 minutes. So I must leave you.
Yeah. I
And
know
I will
you'll be
join you
popping in
later.
and out. I know you'll be popping in and out. But we thank you for that. And so we are going to get things going later today. So thank you very much. We're going to go back to slides now. Those of you that are here, you already have your slide books. I want you to turn to your slide books. Those of you online, I'm going to be sharing some slides that everybody will see and be able to relate to some of the things that I have just alluded to. So now I need all of you that are already on this call, please write it. If you haven't written it down as your aims and objective, it's painful because you will miss out on vital aspects of today's workshop. Because we know it's going to be economically refining for everybody. We know it's going to change the way we see things. And we know that when we learn, anytime we are involved in learning, anytime in our lives, it produces results. So I need all of you to focus on the fact that today's learning is not certificate focused. It's task and evidence focused. Please write that down. If you're on YouTube, please write that down for me, please. You know, most courses, you attend them. At the end, what you take away is a piece of paper called the certificate. However, there's a big however, in today's training, our interest is not the certificate. Our interest is definable, evidence-based, definable, and evidence-based learning. So you're going to learn, and at the end, instead of getting a piece of paper, you will get task of how AI has taken the burden of work away from you. How AI will impact your activities that leads to finance. How AI will impact your business today, not tomorrow. How ChatGPT is something I know everybody knows a lot about ChatGPT now, but there are other tools that are superior to ChatGPT. There are other tools that ChatGPT cannot outperform. Those are the type of tools that we are looking at right now. How can you carry out specific tasks that will forever change what you do and change how you do it? Because as business leaders and busy practitioners, we cannot afford to take our cues from headlines of tabloids. We all know that tabloids are there for a specific reason. But events have happened recently. And some of my students called me and wanted to find out, why did I sign the Pause AI open letter? Why did I sign it? Please listen very carefully. Because on the slide that you have in front of you now is the best-selling book on Queen Elizabeth II. Why am I pulling this book out? It's the best-selling book because the content of the book impacted some people's lives. So that's why people bought the book. However, there is full disclosure in front of this book telling us very clearly that 100% of the content of this book was generated by AI. That's why this book is special. It is the first biography on any reigning monarch that was generated by AI. So if you have a book inside you that your customers need, or a book inside you that your clients need, but you haven't stated your narrative for them to know your unique experience, your unique wisdom, and the lessons you've learned in life. You are not only depriving yourself of a great contribution to the economy, but you are depriving your clients of a solution to the problem that they have. So I need all of us on this call to make a note of this. If you have the wherewithal of a ghostwriter, would you, listen to this, would you hang on to the knowledge, the experience, and the wisdom that you have? Won't you let that ghostwriter extract it from you and publish it as a book? The answer that I have heard all the time from the people I have worked with has been categorical yes. So I need your answer to that now. If I paid a ghostwriter, please listen to this very carefully. If I paid a ghostwriter out of my generosity to work with you for 2 weeks or 1 week to extract from you the lessons you learned from the obstacles you faced in life, from the fights you've been triumphing, from even the tragedies you've had in life, would you be happy to work with that executive assistant ghostwriter to extract that information from you and make it available to younger mothers? For instance, if you're a retiree, a retired mother, you've gone through motherhood, you've gone through child raising, would you be happy to do that? Please type yes, because I want this thing to be very interactive. Type yes if you would be happy for me to pay a ghostwriter to write that book that you've been thinking of for years and years and years and years. Or perhaps you're a speaker. You've spoken somewhere before. And before you finished speaking, somebody got up and that person's life was changed. Maybe marital problem was overcome. Maybe a health problem was overcome. And the person waited at the back of the room to say, thank you very much, ma'am, or thank you very much, sir, or thank you very much, because what you said now just solved my problem. If you have been in that situation before, please type help. That means you are helping other people. I need you to go to the chat box and type H-E-L-P. H-E-L-P in the chat box. Please, you need to do me this favor. Type H-E-L-P in the chat box. Because I'm going to show you many more people that will have benefited from the help you're giving, but because you don't have the wherewithal, you are taking your own lessons with you all the way to where? Dr. Miles Morrow said, you must die empty. That means the content that you have that can help the next generation. Perhaps you've been a successful father, and people have asked you this question, either in the mosque, or in the temple, or in the synagogue, or in the church. So say, well, we see that you're a very successful father. Please, what is your secret? And then you share it with them. Just imagine if you were able to put that inside a book, telling your personal, not everybody's experience, your personal experience. This is the beauty of the written word. Please type H-E-L-P, because I have to be the midwife to give birth to this wisdom of yours that the next generation needs. I have to be literally stand there and make sure that this information comes out using the power of AI, just like we did for Queen Elizabeth II. So that's essentially what I shared that as slide. Secondly, still on Queen Elizabeth II, because she was the most photographed woman on the whole planet, one of the most recognized individuals for a whole generation. At 96 years of age. I know some of you say, oh, this AI business is I think it's for children, really. It's for young stars. This tech you're talking about is for people that are young. I am very old. It's true. I had a CEO that was 42 years telling me, he was only 42 years old. I'm saying only 42 years old, telling me that some of these technologies and came after his own time. I said, what do you mean? He said his time in school, these tools were not available. I said, that's nothing to do with it. The fact that you're still alive and you have these tools. He said, oh no, I'm too old. I said, really? That's why I put this photograph there. Whoever told you you are too old to do anything with technology lied to you. Because Queen Elizabeth, at the age of 96, had and maintained an Instagram account. Let me say this slowly. Instagram, IG is supposed to be for the Gen Z and the younger generation. How will an octogenarian of 80 years old, 90 years old, non-vegetarian, how will someone that is 90 years of age be engaged in using this technology? Oh, no. It's only for the big people that are rich. They don't do it. She was one of the richest women on planet Earth. If you look at the extent of the valuation of the Crown Estate, you understand what I'm trying to say. She was on Facebook. So I'm saying this to make this absolutely clear to you, that age cannot be a problem, and it's not a problem. Next to Her Majesty the Queen here is Sir Ken Olisa. Sir Ken Olisa, I want you to Google him and see the relationship he has with technology. This is us having a chat outside Buckingham Palace on the same day that this event took place, when Her Majesty, when there was a royal reception at Buckingham Palace. So everyone has got to realize it is not something that you have as an optional extra. As a business leader, if you want to maintain your competitive advantage, this is a must-have. It's a must-have. It's not something that, it's useful to have. This is a must-have. And that's why I'm so pleased that you took time off today to participate in this training session. It's a training session. You're going to get new skills that you're going to deploy and therefore boost you got the drift. Boost your bottom line. That's all we're interested in. We want to boost performance and then productivity, and then be able to get things across. That's essentially what it is. So I'm going to share a quick video with you. I'll share a quick video with you, and then we'll go to the pre-coffee session. For those, thank you for all of those of you in Brighton. Let's just see this. We'll call up this. We must, out of necessity, change everything we've known or done with the internet. Out of necessity. Why? Because the internet has changed. We don't have a choice. The internet has changed. I just want to play a brief clip from the interview I did recently on Sky that illustrates this idea of having an executive assistant, and therefore having your assistant able to do much more things than you ever imagined. Very useful for us to be able to know that we have new assistants, and if we are able to use the new assistants, it will be great. If we are unable, our competitors will therefore use it. And if our competitors are able to use the new assistants, it makes all of us literally look like we don't know what we're talking about. And it will allow individuals that have less ability to therefore be more prominent, not just for prominence sake, but demonstrating that the guy that is working and producing results is not able to do it because it's better. He's able to do it because his tools, they are better. So I'm just going to share with you educationally what has happened and how we can very easily transfer that to what we know today as performance. Okay, let's go.
1906 GMT, the BBC World Service. Coming up, a father who's developed a teaching method that has helped all 5 of his children get into Oxford.
Restart the message. Restart the message.
University. He says he can help children develop the same learning techniques, particularly in maths. Now, students in many parts of the world are preparing to start their next academic year in September. For many 16 to 17-year-olds, they may be embarking on higher school certificates, A-levels, for instance, or the International Baccalaureate. But imagine being a primary school child between the age of, say, 7 and 13, taking these exams and passing well. Well, it's a massive feat that has been achieved by students of the Excellence in Education Academy run by Professor Chris Imafidon. All 5 of his children achieved outstanding marks in their O-levels and A-level exams while still in primary school, and they've gone on to university. Well, Chris Imafidon has passed these skills down to other children, particularly in the area of East London. And he joined me in the studio with 2 of his young students who've just passed Maths GCSE. It's 9-year-old Frances and 13-year-old Deborah. She began by telling me how the professor helped them master maths.
I found it something not hard like what other people around my age might expect it to be, but I just saw it as a subject which I can enjoy.
People say practice makes perfect, and if you can apply that to maths, you can really see it as a game.
Okay, so Professor, you taught them well. They've got the answers down pat for a start. But what is the Excellence in Education methodology? How do you convince 9-year-olds like Francis or 13-year-olds like Deborah that maths is a game?
It's showing them. I wish I had a mouse here. I would have clicked on online and pulled up Manga High and said, okay, you have a robot moving across, and the second robot coming, and the third robot coming, and they ask you how many robots do you have. You just type in 3 and hit 3, and then it says, wow, good. And then you say, okay, we have mummies coming from this side, 2 and 4 coming from that side. How many do you now have? So that's an addition game. Then you can have a subtraction game, and you can have a multiplication game. See, anything we do over and over again becomes easy for us. Anything. It's just pattern recognition and following the numbers. But if you bring it to the classroom and write it down in pen and paper, then people are, I'm afraid of maths.
But here we have Francis and Deborah. What did you use in order to spike their interest? You know, you have equations, you have algebra. Yeah. How do you break those down so that youngsters can understand it?
Oh, easy. Come with a bowl of fruits. Have bananas, have apples, have oranges, and say count the number of fruits. So you count 2 A's, apples, plus 2 B's, banana, and then oranges. So you're just sorting things out. And for him, because he supports Tottenham, he has to follow the...
Oh dear, I support Arsenal.
Bad rivalry. And he knows that for the football, it's a game of numbers. We have a league table. There's a match on Saturday. If your team plays and wins, what position would they be on the league table? That's a technically mathematical exercise. You say X unknown. If you win, X becomes 3 points. If you lose, X becomes 0. If you draw, X becomes 1. But he's still thinking football. But he's using mathematical equation to work out 2 or 3 unknowns and say, okay, we'll be third on the league table.
Deborah, when Professor Imafidon first came to you and your parents, how old were you?
I was 10 years old.
So just 3 years ago. How was it when the professor first gave you his formulas and algebra? Was it easy for you to understand?
It was easy for me to understand because Dr. Chris used real life problems and like real life scenarios. It helped me understand.
So what kind of scenarios made sense? If you're not a Tottenham fan like Francis, for instance, what kind of things brought maths alive for you?
Because I like this TV program called The Next Step.
Okay. It's a dance program, isn't it? Yeah, my daughter watches.
If one of the dancers leave, how many dancers will be left? What will happen if they lose or if they win a game? So it's like it brings things which I enjoy in life to help me understand mathematics.
Can you now use it for other subjects?
I'm interested in astronomy because
Thank you for your interactivity. We're going to do a second quick video, a message that had the South Africans. We had a South African visit, and it's quite useful, it's instructive when we see, because we're going to have a deep dive into what happened, what AI, what tools did the British government deploy when they hosted the South African president? Because we're trying to say that AI is being used at the very highest level. So the only people that are not using AI, guess what, are the small players like you and me. Big players have always been using AI, and they've been using AI. We, for instance, have been using AI since.
Mentioned already that he seems really to laugh, and I love that joke about the football. Was there any opportunity for both people, both these heads of states, really, to talk privately in a state visit? Or is everything that you see, everything that there is, or is behind the scenes, there's a lot of things going on?
Oh, a lot of things, a lot of informal discussions, things that are literally off the record, but they are laying foundations for the new relationship of equal partnership. This is one thing I love about what President Cyril Ramaphosa said, is equal partnership now, unlike the pre-colonial era or the colonial era where we had the master and the slave. This time, it was two equal partners looking at ways of possible, mutual, a win-win situation. What South Africa brings to the table is a dynamic, youthful population. What Britain brings to the table is an experienced, very experienced, established protocol for research, for education. So you can see that South Africa needs Britain as much as Britain needs the youth, the dynamism of the Africans.
Well, interesting. Thank you very much, Professor. Now, Britain hopes the visit, which had been planned before the death of Queen Elizabeth in September, will strengthen trade and investment ties between the two nations and show the importance of links with the Commonwealth of Nations, the international organisation that Charles actually now leads. Professor Chris, what is the role of the Commonwealth, do you think, of the Commonwealth of Nations? And do you think King Charles would have brought this up at all?
Oh yeah, he did. He made a formal. Somebody said an apology. Others said a near apology about some ugly parts regarding the empire, which now metamorphosed to become the Commonwealth, because the English-speaking nation shares a lot of commonalities: the rule of law, the educational system. If you look at even the scientific developments, the bond by language, because you see that most of the Commonwealth countries still spell color with a C-O-L-O-U-R, unlike the C-O-L-O-R of the Americans. So that unity, that linguistic unity, confers massive opportunity on English-speaking countries, whether they are island nations or they are big African nations. Why? Because in order to do business, in order to transact anything, we have a common language. And that commonality allows our youths to be able to migrate to any part of the Commonwealth and use their talent or express their genius. That's something that Her late Majesty the Queen really campaigned for. There's the annual scholarship program that gets used from the Commonwealth to study in any other part of the Commonwealth for free. There is the exchange program for professors, from whether you're in Canada or you are in Ghana, it doesn't matter. You move from one place to the other and spend 6 months, a year without payment. There's exchange program for scholars, for librarians, or
I'm just looking at education just to start off with. So let alone economics. So there's so much we can do together because there's so much that unites us. But the lines have to be drawn and the new template for collaboration has to be refined.
So interesting. So you see a certain definite exchange of ideas and people between all the members of the Commonwealth. Now, during the visit to the Royal Botanical Gardens, the President received a gift from a South African scientist, and Ramaphosa said, "So you're from home," you should have said, which was met with quite a lot of laughter from the crowd. Now, this President, as I've said, always seems to want to laugh and smile. Professor Chris, you all attended that particular gathering with the HOH, Prince Edward there, Earl of Wessex, head of the world-renowned Kew Gardens, with President Cyril Ramaphosa, as well as very senior ministers and secretaries of state from Britain and Africa during that state visit. What was the reason for this high-level meeting inside Kew Gardens?
Fantastic, because this time I came out frontline. I was frontline in terms of activities here, because you will never know the ecology of South Africa and how many seeds, listen to this, came from South Africa 200 years ago in the heart of England, literally London, in Richmond, Kew's Garden. The national tree, the national flower, right there. If you got time, please spend time, come to the Kew Garden and see for yourself. It's called the exotic section, Christian, which essentially means they were taken from Africa. And the seeds and the pollination, the entire life cycle of the plant is still preserved. It shows the wonders of the Almighty. The divine creation, when he literally created the Garden of Eden, had something in mind that beautifies all of us. Just walking in the garden, seeing flowers, seeing butterflies of different colors, tells us that nature is not accidental. This is a planned garden for all of us to enjoy, listen, and then preserve for the next generation. That's the last part of it. We must make sure that what we've enjoyed in this generation, we are able, so that generations unborn able to benefit from the medicinal, herbal, recreational value of the garden. So I enjoyed it. I probably was of the last few people to leave the garden. Because the secretary was saying, "Oh, I used to go." So I so enjoyed it that I didn't go for the next meeting immediately, which was supposed to be at the Crick Institute after the visit to Kew Garden. A beautiful place, Royal Botanical Garden.
I mean, it seemed you had the opportunity there just to mingle freely with the president of South Africa. It's quite remarkable just to see him walking around the garden. I suppose the garden was closed to the public for the visit, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was delayed opening on that day, and the main gate, the gate that we came in through, was also different from others. But we wanted to recreate a natural environment so that you can literally play like a kid plays in a candy shop, see the different flowers, see the palm trees, see literally Africa recreated in the middle of a very winter and cold and wet London.
Yeah. But they do such a great job, don't they, of conservation around the world. They've got lots of plants there, which, you know, they were taken from various parts of the world, but at least it's preserved. They're preserved now, and they look after them, don't they, very well, as far as I understand.
Yeah, they try to simulate both the temperature and the weather conditions where those seeds will blossom to the fullest. And it's on a serious note, every single nation on the planet Earth need to know that is a divine responsibility to look after that which was created for us.
Indeed. So you see a biblical kind of context there, don't you, between the Garden of Eden, as you mentioned, and Kew Gardens.
Absolutely.
Here in London.
Absolutely.
Lovely. Now, later in the state visit, the President Ramaphosa was also due to meet Prime Minister Rishi Sunak on Wednesday and attend a UK-South Africa Business Forum to discuss trade and investment. The following was recorded at number 10.
Well, President, I'm delighted to welcome you here. This historic state visit. South Africa and the UK, obviously very strong partners, allies, friends, and we share so many of the same objectives, notably transitioning to clean energy whilst creating jobs and opportunity for our citizens. You know, I'm very keen to deepen our relationship, as I know you are, and I look forward to this.
At why South Africa, as an African country, relies on manual working, and the UK was cruising using AI. So you have two countries, and it's like having two football teams. One playing using the latest tools, techniques, and technologies, and the other one playing using manual, human-operated tools. You know how vulnerable we are to in terms of error, how humans make error. You know that the London Underground introduced the Oyster card. Please, can you type that down? The London subway system. Americans in Atlanta, we call it subway system. The London subway system does not have a physical person that checks the ticket. The London subway system does not have an individual that checks the ticket. Who checks the ticket of those passengers that want to travel? Who checks it? Because in Yorkshire, it's still done physically. But who checks the Oyster card? Because it's now contactless. It's contactless. Who checks your card before you get on the London Underground? Please, can you type that down? Because when my students in the 80s were working on this, and people thought it was impossible. Who understands the Oyster card system? Now, who checks your ticket if you get on a bus in London? Please type that down. If you're traveling on what they call the mass transit in London, who checks the ticket? Please put that down. You need to put it down because it is part of what has changed the business model for the railways. And you've heard about the long strike between the rail workers, rail drivers, and the government. This is no conspiracy theory. I need all of you to write that down. Who checks your ticket? And who's been checking your ticket? For those of you that use the London Underground, please type in there, who checked your ticket? Because since 2003, nobody checks your ticket when you get on the London transport system. Who checks it? You guessed right. Some people just call it technology. Thank you for saying that it's technology. There's a card that is OYSTER. On June the 30th, 2003, this card was introduced in London for a trial. I'm privileged to have been part of the people that participated on this same experiment. I will never forget that day in my life. The 30th of June, 2003, when it became redundant for a human being to check your ticket. Since 30th of June, 2003, it became redundant. No human being was paid to check your tickets. That function, that role was transferred to who? Please guess and put it down. Don't go to the TfL website. Don't ask ChatGPT for TfL. And by June 2012, 43 million Oyster cards have been issued, and 80% of the journeys in London were now, 80% were now a function of, guess what? Not ticket checkers. Guess what? Because if we don't understand this, we will not be able to tie in what this is all about. It's not about technology. It's about optimizing performance and boosting productivity. The 30th of June is a day in my life I cannot forget, because many people argued and said, no, it's not possible. Others said, no, it's possible. Others said, why will it be possible? We always need a ticket checker. We need somebody to stand by the gate and make sure that you bought the ticket and you bought the right ticket before you get on to the London Underground. And then the then mayor of London, I don't want to be political or partisan, was swept by his political aides and persuaded otherwise, and said, okay, let's try it. Let's try it. It was a trial in 2003 that worked, because by June 2012, about 9 years later, 43 million Oyster cards had been issued. And 8 out of 10 journeys on the public transport in London was supervised by what? Not a human being. Please, I'll give the game away, not a human being. I want you to type that now. Whether or not you bought a ticket to go on a bus, on a tram, on a train, or a tube, there's somebody that is checking it. Sorry, there's something that is checking it. It's not somebody. It's not a human being anymore. So what aspect of your business have you handed over to technology? The way the mayor of London handed over the checking of tickets, not to humans, for an intelligent, or what we call smart device that will tell when you enter the train station and will tell when you left the train station. I'm holding on to my copy of the Oyster card here. I brought it specifically to demonstrate to you. This is my copy of the Oyster card. To demonstrate to you that that's my copy, personal copy of the Oyster card. Nobody checks my ticket when I get on the train in London. Nobody checks my ticket when I get on the bus in London. Nobody checks my ticket when I get on the tube, the subway. Nobody gets my ticket when I get on the tram. So when you now say that every single aspect of your business, of a business operation, is enjoying human supervision, that is the cost. That is the human cost. It's totally unnecessary. So please take this down. I need you to take this down. It's OYSTER. You need to also delegate actions, activities, events, and tasks to your own oyster for your own business. There is always an oyster in your business. There's always an oyster in what you do. Today's deep dive is to identify the oyster. The key words is human supervision to boost productivity of the humans that are left. So instead of having about 15 ticket checkers, we now have one supervisor that manages 15 different outlets. I want you to go to King's Cross. I want you to go to Stratford. I want you to go to Euston Station and see how many of those different how many of those different, very different places now have paid employees doing this task? How many are they? How many? How many are they? So the world has changed, ladies and gentlemen. We cannot unchange it. The genie is out of the bottle. If we want to get it back, I wish you the best. Because the government knows the power of AI and they're using it every day, 24/7. I just gave one simple example of the government of the United Kingdom deploying smart technology, using artificial intelligence to be able to do some things and yet give them millions. 43 million Oyster cards. I'm going to tell you how many journeys have been made on the Oyster, and I'm going to give you the latest percentage of the number of journeys supervised by humans. So this is the thrust of our activity today. All we are doing today is to see how we can also use it now that the government has used it, or have been using it, or somebody will say has tried it since 2013. Now it's our turn, somebody will say. Now is our turn to also use it for the benefits of our clients. Now is our turn to use it for the benefits of our shareholders. And if you are a charity, now is our time to use it for the benefit of those that we serve. We cannot afford to do things the old way, especially if they are inefficient. So I will want you all, thank you, because it's come to break time now. I would like all of the, in another 15 minutes, we are coming back for tea, and then we'll establish what your customers need today that you are not able to give them.